Welcome to the Redeemer Podcast. I'm your host, Zach, and today we are starting a new series on Christian education in Canada. Redeemer is committed to encouraging Christian education from primary all the way to post-secondary. I am joined by Timothy Christian School Principal Matt Bittel to talk about Christian education at the primary level. If this is your first time here, don't forget to like and subscribe, share with a friend, and check out some of our other episodes that explore various aspects of Redeemer, Christian education, and so much more. Thank you for making us part of your day. And with that, let's go. Welcome in, everyone. I am so excited to start our series on Christian education in Canada. And our first guest in this series is none other than Matt Bittel, who is the principal of Timothy Christian School in Owen Sound. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Zach. I appreciate it. And anytime I can sit down and talk about Christian schools, I'm game.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, let's maybe just start with this is, Matt, how did you get involved with Christian education to begin with?
So I've been involved for about 50 years, if you can believe
Wow.
that. I've been a student. I remember when I was in grade 3, my parents switched me over to the Christian school because they wanted that for me. And I've been to Christian elementary school, Christian high school. I went to Christian university, and then I've been a parent in Christian schools. I've been a teacher and principal in Christian schools, so for quite a long time. So I really believe in Christian schools.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about our conversation today. We're going to touch on a variety of different topics here, but the purpose of this series and this episode is to invite people into the conversation around Christian education in Canada. I feel like it's often overlooked, but it's been a really huge blessing in my life. I was new to it. I really only got in at the post-secondary level, but now in working in Christian education, I see the value of it at the primary level, at the high school level. And could you maybe let's start with what have you seen the past couple of years in Christian education in Canada at the elementary school level?
So yeah, we've really seen a shift over the last few years, and I'm going to kind of refer back to COVID as kind of the time that kind of pushed things in one way. As we were going into COVID, our school was getting a little bit larger and we were looking at growing, but we were at about 80, 90 students. And
Mhm.
a few years, like 5 years prior to that, we had dipped to our lowest at about 65 students. And we're now at 185. And
Wow.
COVID really added to that. And I can explain the reasons. First of all, we did lose a few families that decided to go to homeschooling, that some came back, some never came back. So we did lose a
Mhm.
few, that with masking and vaccinations and all that, right?
Yep.
But I really think there's three reasons why we've been growing so much, and every Christian school in Ontario is experiencing the same thing. Number one, people are working remotely now. So a family might have moved from Kitchener or the Greater Toronto area and moved to our area. Housing is a little bit cheaper up here, and they wanted more space during the pandemic. They wanted something different than city life. So they moved up here. Their job is now able to be done remotely. Maybe they go to Toronto once a week or once every few weeks. And so they're what I call like Christian school transfers. They've come from another
Yep.
Christian school. Another one is we've seen a lot of growth in our grade 3, 4, 5 area. And during the pandemic with the online learning, a lot of parents realized that their child was not where they should be. They were
Mhm.
behind academically. The bigger system, it's hard to get a judge on that. And a lot of people shifted over. We just need to get a better handle on our child's education. And with it being the Christian school, with the tuition piece, parents are more involved.
Yep.
It's just easier. I mean, every parent is not involved 100%, but more involved in their child's life. They're making a major investment, right? And
Yep.
then the other one is the whole shift with the health curriculum, with all those things. Um, Parents are just uncomfortable with what's happening in the public schools. And we used to, so when we're what you would call an open school. So you do not have to attend church to come to our school. But obviously we want to keep our numbers on that one side because otherwise we'd lose our identity.
Yep.
So when we get new families in, for the most part, those are Christian families that are here for mainly the Christian reason and then the other advantages.
Mhm.
A lot of people that switch in halfway are not necessarily here for the Christian. They're not against it, but that's not their primary reason. But over the last 2 or 3 years, the amount of Christian families, I'm sorry, that have joined the school in middle and late grades has just been so much higher than it's been in the past, which is really nice because when a Christian family, we want all families, and we believe that we're a ministry as well, right? And the when the Christian school, when a Christian family comes, they're less of a. It's just less work because they
Yeah.
understand a little bit more about what we're doing. If that makes any sense.
Totally, and I really appreciate your language around. You're not saying when new students join your school. You're saying when families join your school, and recognizing that community aspect of Christian education, which is so vital to it.
Yeah.
Could you maybe expand a little bit more? Why do you think these families are seeing the value of the Christian school experience for their kids?
Different things I've heard. They like our teachers and again, it's not that this isn't happening in the public system. It's just that the public system has changed so much, and the teachers don't have as much authority in the room, I think. And so our teachers, we hold our students accountable. We have an assignment. Well, you don't get it done. Like, you're gonna have late, and we're gonna let your parent know. I will have families that will have joined us, and they're like, "Man, you call us a lot about behavior issues. Not that their child is that bad. It's just we're holding them accountable. Where when they went to the other system, they never would hear how their child was doing. So we try to
Hmm.
keep the lines of communication open. Parents, a lot of the problems in our society is because parents aren't involved enough in their child's lives, I think. And we try to encourage our parents to be involved. They want to be involved. And there's just that community. And, we also, in our rural area, we don't have school buses. Now, most Christian schools do. Our children are spread out too far. So basically, we have parent pickup and carpool. So
Hmm.
what a great place to build community out in the parking lot at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Parents get to talk to other parents. You kind of, when you see a new parent, you kind of encourage them to talk, or have parents get together. Also, one of the things is that also gives the parent, if they're driving in every day, an opportunity to touch base with the teacher if they need to. Every teacher is
Hmm.
outside when everybody's picked up. Now, you don't have conversations every day, but you're there, and you're able to. And then I've also had parents say, having busing is, yeah, I thought it was going to be, having no busing, I thought it was going to be a problem. And they're like, you know what? That 10 minutes, that 15 minutes with my child in the car, they're a captive audience. We get to talk about their day, and there's nowhere they can go. So it's kind of nice that way too.
And again, I really can't stress enough. Just hearing you talk about the relational component that comes around Christian education with families and parents and students and teachers, that is something that I've experienced being one of the dramatic differences between Christian education and alternative education. Um, could you maybe speak to, because a lot of people that are new to Christian education or private education, they don't fully understand, like with a public school or a Catholic school, you have a school board, there's regulations, there's, kind of different policies put in place, things like that. But Christian schools kind of operate separately, but yet at the same time, there's this kind of community of it. What's your interaction with other Christian schools like, and other Christian like principles?
So we're Timothy Christian Owen Sound. We're part of Advanced Christian Schools Association.
Okay.
So it's I think Canada wide, most of the schools are in Ontario, and they're all private schools. Christian, they might be Canadian Reformed, but they're all in that in that area. And so they set up different things throughout the year. So we pay fees per student, and they have some kind of a retreat for administrators and board members in the fall. They have something in the spring. They set up what they call cohorts. So I think there's 5 or 6 or 7 different cohorts. So one might be east of Toronto. One is we're part of Toronto North. There's Toronto South. There's Blue Water. So all these different cohorts, and they try to meet probably once every 6 weeks to to connect. They have they'll go over certain things, maybe a little bit of professional development, and go from there. Now, those are a little bit hard. Our cohort is quite spread out, so anytime we do anything, it's really a 2-hour trip. So I do my
Mm.
best to get to those, but we also, the principal in Barrie there, Rod Berg, he's set up where we kind of just meet in Collingwood for lunch.
That's cool.
3, 4, 5 of us, 2 of us sometimes, and we just network, and then we try to do that. The schools also will, in those groups, they will do different sports tournaments and stuff. So every sport we have a different tournament, a 1-day tournament, and in ours we have Barrie, so Timothy Christian Barrie. We have Orangeville. We have King Christian in Holland Marsh. We have Aurelia, and we have Alliston. So we get together, we do a soccer tournament, we do volleyball and all those things. And the kids get to they compete against each other for years, and they get to know each other pretty well. So that's kind of neat too, that we have that. We have the ability to do that.
And again, I think that's something that is so important, and kind of dispels one of the myths about Christian schools, that like you don't have access to sports at the same level and things like that.
Yeah.
But you have this network of schools that you do collaborate with to make that experience possible for students.
Yes. Yep.
Kind of talking a little bit about, I know one of the barriers to Christian education that a lot of people, their mindset instantly goes there, is the cost of Christian school and tuition and things like that. How do you have a conversation with a parent or a prospective family around tuition?
Yeah, that's a tough one, Zach, because you never want to be this elite place that people can't afford to come to.
Right.
But we get no government support, and we have to pay our bills, and we have to pay our teachers.
Yep.
So, but the interesting thing is, 5, 6 years ago, that was the first question asked during a phone inquiry. How much does it cost? And then you'd almost, for a lot of times, you'd hear a kind of a, because it is a major investment. It's almost like it's like having a second mortgage, really.
Yeah.
But now, like with the shift and the way it's gone over the past few years, that is a question, like it's further down the list, and it's like people are realizing we got to figure out a way to do this. Now we
Yes.
have things in place that can sometimes help. We do have a tuition assistance fund that, depending on how generous people are, or where, how big it is, we kind of allocate some of that. The Christian School Foundation has it set up where they actually match. So if I'm able to award a family, if we have $1,000 on tuition for the year, they'll match that, so that
Mm-hmm.
that becomes 2,000. So if we have $10,000 of tuition assistance, it's really 20,000, and we do the best we can with that.
Yeah.
It is hard, and there's always, every year there's always somebody that's like, oh, I just don't know if we can make this work, and we do our best, and sometimes it just doesn't. But some families, if they need extra help, will sometimes maybe find a grandparent to help. Grandparents love to to help put their grandchildren in Christian schools if that's what they believe in. So we try to figure out different ways.
And I think the majority of Christian schools that I've interacted with, they have those people working behind the scenes to make Christian education as affordable as possible. I know here at Redeemer, we're at the post-secondary level, where that's something that we are constantly always trying to do. But definitely in high school and elementary school, you meet a lot of great professionals such as yourself with that same mindset. Let's maybe could you touch on a little bit? And this is a tough question. When I sent this one to you, I was like, I don't know how he's going to answer this, but what do you think, seeing this shift and this change from the, pandemic and just the perspective of Christian education in Canada, what do you think kind of the current state is of Christian education in Canada, and what gets you excited about the future of Christian education in Canada?
So I'm going to answer that kind of in two folds here, because we as a school, we are excited, us personally, with the direction that things are heading. However, going from 80 students to 180 in the matter of 5 or 6 years, you have to really work hard at keeping your
Yeah.
identity. We still want to be this small school where everybody knows everybody's name, and it gets harder all the time. So I think the Christian school is going to continue to gain momentum. In talking to other principals, at some point, the growth has to stop a little bit. And then it's exciting because then we're going to look at, okay, how do we maintain this and how do we keep this going, right? And there's just so much of a buzz and excitement about about what's going on. And some of the families that have come in and switched and they know both systems, and there are, you know what, there are things in the other system that you can get that we just can't provide. We can't provide one-on-one work. We can't provide a
Yeah.
lot of the extra resource, right? But what we can provide is a dedicated staff and do the best we can. And it's just, I just think that this is just going to continue, and it's going to hit that level. And then, like, the way we're looking at it is we've got to figure out, we've got to adjust, and we've got to figure out how we can become this bigger school, still keep our identity, still keep this family atmosphere where everybody knows everybody. And I think that that's going to be the same everywhere. I just think that there's not it just seems to be all positive, right? there
Yeah.
was years like there was years ago where, when the Christian schools started in the 50s and 60s and 70s, they had some rough goes. And
Hmm.
there was a bunch of students that didn't necessarily have the greatest experience. And then they shifted from their children going. And we're starting to get generations back. We have I think we have 6 or 7 third generation students here. We have I think like 30 second generation. And I think the Christian schools are feeling this all over. And another thing too, 20, 30 years ago, you looked in our if you would have went to the CRC church and looked at the Sunday school, you could pretty much see how big the Christian school was. We're branching out to other denominations. We're getting other people on board. We're even having some non-Christian families. We've had a couple Muslim families at our school, and it's worked quite well. So
Interesting.
it's just that shift. And people, though, like the Muslim families, that they want the high morals. And they're willing to say, we agree that this is what you're going to teach. So it's been kind of neat and exciting over the last few years.
That is exciting. And yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. What about, could you maybe, and again, this might be viewed or listened to by someone who's not in the Owen Sound area, but if there's a family or parents that are considering sending their children to a private Christian school and they're new to the idea of it, what advice would you have for them, be it your school or maybe there's another school in their area that they're looking into?
Yeah. I would strongly recommend that they just go in, give them a call, and go in and take a look. I
Hmm.
think you'll see a difference right away. And one of the difficult things about during the pandemic was I was not able to show the building during the school day. I got to
Right.
show it at 4:30 when it was an absolute mess. The cleaners hadn't been through yet. And it was like, I'm not saying it was a tough sell, but it just wasn't as enjoyable. When I
Yeah.
can bring a family around during the day and they can see how the classes are running,
Yeah.
how there's control in everybody's working quietly when they're supposed to be, or they're having fun with, like, to just go in and have a peek. We also encourage our families, hey, if you want to, take your child out of school for a day and have them come with us. We would love to
Hmm.
have them. And then they get kind of a taste of what it is. We'll buddy them up right away. Oh, I know that kid, like, he likes hockey, so I'm going to buddy him up with somebody that likes hockey, and then they're going to be with them all day to kind of make sure they know where to go and stuff. And then we're going to just let them know what a day is like. But I would encourage people to give the local Christian school a call and just say, hey, can I come in and meet with the principal, and can I come in and show me around, and then how can I get my children in here to see. Not that I don't think the children should have the choice, but it's
Yeah.
it's certainly, if they come and they really enjoy it, like, it's just going to be an easier for everybody at the transition, right?
Yeah. And your school is it K through 8?
Yeah, we're junior kindergarten through 8, so
Okay, through 8.
yeah, so
And
for
I, I'm
4 years.
assuming it's a lot different when a new student comes at like the kindergarten or grade 1 level to like someone who's in grade 5, 6, 7, or 8.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, you start in kindergarten, you're going to get the whole program and everything. It just, all the pieces will help, create your child into be, the person that God wants them to be. Right?
Mhm.
God's given us these many talents and blessings, and we want to do all we can for God and for His kingdom. As children start later, there's just a little bit of a learning curve. They have to, the family has to understand kind of the commitment. It's
Yep.
not just at our school and at the Christian schools around Ontario. It's not just drop your kid off and that's it. We want you to be involved. We want you to be a part of it. We require our families to do some. They need to do 20 hours of volunteering throughout the year. So we want people involved. So
That's and again, I've come into the conversation of Christian education, that community aspect of it, and maybe it is because there is that additional tuition or requirement of family involvement, that you actually have a higher caliber experience in the elementary level. Would you agree with that?
yeah, yes. I again, everything starts with the family. And
Mm-hmm.
when your family is more invested with their children in their child's lives, everything goes easy. It just, I think that's the way God intended it, right? The
Yeah.
family and the family and the church and the school. If they're all working together, that's a pretty strong three layered cord that can't be broken.
Well, Matt, I've really enjoyed our conversation. Can you give a plug for Timothy Christian School if anyone watching this is interested?
Hey, if you're in our area or in the area of any Christian school, I would just encourage you to reach out, give them a call, and come in and check us out. That's all I ask. Give us a chance to show you what we're doing up here in Owen Sound or in any other Christian school. All right.
Awesome. Well, absolutely, Matt. Thank you so much. I'll put the link to your admission, your website, and your contact in the description below for anyone who's interested. But thank you so much for coming on this episode of the podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me, Zach. Like I said, I'll talk about Christian schools anytime you want.
We'll have to have you on again. God bless everyone, and we'll see you in the next episode.